This isn't the first time we're going to do this, but this is the first time where we're going to officially call it this on fucking camera. This is a rewatch review. The whole gimmick being that we've already seen these movies. We're just revisiting them to see if something changed. Because sometimes, lo and behold, shit changes, man. This is something I've been discovering for years.
The great poet Dwight Yoakam once said, things change.
Oh, and they do. Especially with Poltergeist, which we discovered stunk upon rewatching. Like, yeah, man, this is considered a classic, really? I used to like this? Fushi! So anyway, the whole gimmick here is that we rewatch something that we've watched previously. And for the most part, we stuck to stuff that we haven't seen in like over a decade for the most part. Yeah. This time, though, it's never been but maybe a couple of years. And it's Kong Skull Island. We're talking about the umpteenth millionth Monkey Man film. How many Kong movies are there? Like 10,000 at this point?
I think the rough estimate is 22,000, actually.
I believe so. Yeah. Tomorrow will be twin-twillion? That's a fucking number, right?
Elmer Fudd?
Yes,
that's how he talks.
Sure. Anyway, there's not that many King Kong movies, surprisingly. There are some shitty ones, like the Toho ones. Come on, man. King Kong vs. Godzilla sucked. Let's just face it. King Kong, what was it, Escapes or whatever?
Everybody loves them too, by the way.
Let's not lie to each other.
They're stinkers.
Most of the Toho show era shit sucked, and that includes those King Kong movies from that era, man. But the core King Kong movies, like the original classic,
Son of Kong.
Son of Kong, I liked quite a bit too.
Good.
I enjoyed it. It was nice. I would pet him. I would let him live at my house.
That 70s one.
You know what? I'm not going to hate, but the 70s one with Jeff Bridges does suck in a lot of parts, but there's some good parts in it. It's not a movie that I'm like, that's a fucking turd, but it is a movie that I was like, man, that's a turd section of the movie.
Stinkers.
But it could have been worse, for sure. I really enjoyed the Peter Jackson movie, which I know was kind of it was one of those movies where douchey nerddom started to show up real early in the game, you know? Yeah. You like that? You're a piece of shit. Anyway, I really like that. And this was yet another kind of remake of that original concept. Only this one really reconstructed the idea of a remake. Because really it reset everything. Kind of reconfigured certain characters and concepts. And then on top of all that, it fitted into this monsterverse that's going on with Godzilla King of Monsters, etc. All with the end game eventually playing out in Godzilla vs. King Kong.
The doomed to be underwhelming.
Yeah, apparently. So, at that point that we first saw it, there had only been two MonsterVerse movies, and that was 2014's Godzilla and Kong Skull Island. So that's really all we had to go for. I do say that now that we have more of an idea of where this MonsterVerse is going out, some things in retrospect can be reevaluated. So there's that to take into consideration, and there's just impressions to be taken into consideration, watching conditions, moods, etc. Shit changes, or maybe it doesn't. The first go around, your reaction was kind of like a middling, if I remember correctly. Like, it was fun, but whatever. I didn't like this. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I had issues.
Kind of thing. You had issues. Yeah. Normal life and with the movie. Mm-hmm. Me, I was an enthusiastic supporter of this movie, as designated by the stupid thumb.
It's not good.
Hey, look, man, it got us out of trees, all right? Do not mock thumbs. But anyway,
you're right.
I really enjoyed Kong Skull Island quite a damn bit, and maybe it's my affinity for massive apes.
Yeah, you do have a weird ape love.
It's weird, man. Ape love. Hashtag represent. But anyway, let's just go off. What was your, where you at? Now, the second viewing, where are you at? Did it change? Do you view it even worse? Do you view it better? Where are you at?
I'll say this. I think it's become a concrete thing to me that anytime I see a movie in the theaters, I'm going to instantly like it less than when we see it at home. It's becoming a theme, I've noticed. And it's been kind of put concretely with Kong as of late. Because it was pretty rad, dude. Now, I do think some of my original critiques are still there. but not really that big
problematic.
Yeah. It was just like I kind of saw what it was doing better this time around.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think it has to do something with that theater experience. I'm just not a fan of anymore. Also, I'm like 99% sure I'm blind because I could never see the screen properly. So there you go.
So that's good.
I couldn't see the ape. I didn't know there was an ape in this movie. Let's just say that.
God, he was 99% of the screen.
Didn't see him.
Yeah, I remember you having issues with characters, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Can't recall much else besides that, but I remember that was one of your bigger issues where I was like, I really like this because it's not necessarily a character-driven movie. It's more obviously about this ape. The characters are just a means to an end. That being said, the characters are giving a lot to chew on. I will say this, one of the big critiques for Peter Jackson's version of King Kong was that they spend an hour on characters, and some of them are just kind of thrown to the wayside. That's generally the thing to do with monster movies. The alternative being spending too much time with characters, developing them to the ends of the earth, and then at the ass end you get a monster going, and that's it. So
Rodan style.
Yeah, Rodan, dude, what the fuck? Original Rodan sucks. You heard it here first. Anyway, so it's kind of a hard balance to strike because, we got peon humans, and on the other end of the spectrum, we got a fucking like gigantic ape / lizard. How do you strike a balance there? I think this movie kind of found a balance. Now, I'm not saying it found it 100%, obviously, but I think this is one of the better human element in the monster movies out there, in the big monster movie, I should say. Let's just go ahead and call it kaiju movie at this point. I think this is one of the better ones. The characters are interesting, and if they're not 100% like deep interesting, which most of them aren't, they're characters you like and or want to see go somewhere.
I think that's the big thing I kind of took away from this one this time around is that, like I wasn't hot on Sam Jackson. Mm-hmm. When I first saw it, and this time around, I was like, dude, this is freaking cool. Yeah. I think he's one of the better characters in the movie, because he has like a legitimate reason to be doing stuff. There is like some other characters that just kind of get built up and then they just die. But it didn't bug me this time around because I think that they were handled properly and they disappeared when they needed to and they were used well.
I think the only character, and maybe you'll agree with this on me, with me on this, that did get kind of wasted was John Goodman's Carl Denham equivalent.
Yeah, because there was some interesting ideas behind his character, and unfortunately, he just kind of dies.
Which was real sad because he was interesting. Yeah. I liked how they were equating him to Denham's character. That was cool. And at the moment when he dies, he's kind of like at a crux, like a turnover point. Yeah. And then he fucking croaks. And maybe that was intentional, most likely, to just kill him at that point where you think there's going to be like this, moment of change. But either way, I was like, oh, Johnny Goods.
Yeah. I do feel that like Loki's character, Tom Hiddleston's character, he's serviceable. Mm-hmm. That was one of the ones where I kind of found pretty lame originally, but I realized it wasn't really the focus. He was just kind of there, you know what I mean, to fill a role. And he was cool enough. He had cool moments. And he didn't really have to have this freaking emotional freaking story arc or anything. Yeah. I do think the better characters are John C. Reilly's, weirdly, still. Sam Jackson was great.
It's interesting how they turned the dynamics of the original, because usually we have Andero and, what's his name?
Jack.
That
was his name, right?
Yeah. As the central characters.
Yeah, exactly. And here they're kind of like...
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston would be your Jack character, and your Andero would be, of course, Brie Larson. And they just are kind of background characters. Yeah. And they fulfill the roles they ultimately are set to fulfill, but they're not the focus. So they kind of flipped it on its head. Instead, we get to focus more on Sam Jackson and John C. Reilly, which are like direct opposites of these characters, which was a very interesting approach to take. It definitely gave us something fresh without ignoring the fact that these characters kind of have to exist in this universe
Yeah.
or this story, which I enjoyed. I think it's interesting to note that this movie was this director's first movie, and visually there's some cool ass stuff. This is a guy that clearly has a love for evoking certain feelings. There was a lot of allusions made to in the promotional campaign, especially to Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the visuals here, have that feeling, that visual chutzpah of that era of filmmaking, and that movie in specific. The color palette is really rich.
I think the color palette is pretty freaking great in this. It's this very yellowy look, but it never gets tiring. And it's pretty interesting throughout. You never get bored of it, so that's cool.
There was certain shots too that were just kind of like, they weren't like life-changing shots, but they were those shots that kind of, to a cinephile, just make you smile because they're either gorgeously composed, albeit unnecessary maybe in the end, or they're just stuff that you're like, that's just a nice, beautiful looking shot. I can just enjoy that aesthetically. A good example is when they're fucking carpet bombing the shit out of the place, and you get that close up of the pilot and his refractive lenses are showing the chaos. That was cool, man. Little stuff like that was cool. The use of music cues to elicit a particular response, a feeling for the times or what's going on was pretty cool.
I would have been pretty annoyed if this movie had gone throughout and didn't have a
little Fogarty action,
a little fog, a little CCR up in that piece. Thankfully, we get 2 CCRs.
That alone gets it a couple of points.
Yeah.
There was some interesting stuff here visually. I do feel it kind of tapers off, but that's kind of necessary if you're going to put the story at the forefront instead of super nice visuals. But where they're at, that's where they should be, and they get you at least visually engaged in what's going on because it looks fucking cool. That's not to say that once the story takes a hold of your attention, that it doesn't look visually cool. In fact, this is probably the coolest Kong has looked. Yes, no? What do you think? I think so.
Yeah, because I think in like 2005, he just looked like a monkey.
A lovable monkey, but monkey.
Just a monkey.
Or an ape. Yeah, right, dude. It's not the proper nomenclature.
I do think the cutest Kong is still the original.
That's definitely the cutest monster that went on a rampage ever.
Hang out with him. But this one they made him they upped his size. He's got a big BBC now, which is pretty rad. And just like the first scene you see him where he's like destroying helicopters and shit, that was pretty rad. That was probably the coolest intro to Kong we've had.
Just the design visually, the size, of course, pretty fucking awesome. It's the biggest Kong we've seen, and he gets to fight that damn fucking octopus dude that's like in every kaiju movie in Japan ever. Like, dude, can we just kill this octopus? Answer, Kong killed the fucking shit out of it and ate it.
I gotta say, at least he didn't piss on it.
That's true. Look, Japan, you got a problem with pissing on octopi.
It's not good. Let the poor octopus alone.
So I think visually the coolest fucking Kong.
There's that like
just cool.
There's that shot in the forest. It's bad.
Where apparently he has cones for him.
In the forest with the big spiders. That it has that kind of like cool like first person shot. That was cool looking. It just has a lot of cool looking stuff.
Yeah.
And the creatures I think look cool in this. The only ones I don't think are like up to top potential are like the skull guys. They're a little simple.
Skull crawlers?
Yeah. But everything else looks really cool.
Yeah. I would have enjoyed Worthier Foe.
Yeah.
But then again, a Worthier Foe, then you'd be like, all right, well now he's got to step up. He's got a big step up next, and that's fucking Godzilla. So,
dude, freaking,
this is a nice start. But yeah,
I don't understand how he's gonna fight. He freaking a helicopter blade hurt his hand.
Look, man, that's the underdog status. That's why everybody's gonna be cheering for King Kong because they know he can get hurt. That's why everybody cheers for King Kong. Inherently, Godzilla obviously would win.
Godzilla just took like 10,000 kaiju on, and he's freaking Kong supposed to do something.
He's gonna be our boy, dude.
He's gotta go like maybe he does like the nut thing.
Look, Godzilla has no nuts. We all know this.
Good point.
But the point is, I don't know what the point is. Yeah, could have used some cooler villains to fight against, but that's not to say that they're not cool and they don't provide proper suspense for all involved. Again, including the humans, which is apparently the hardest thing to do in monster movies. Yeah. Make the humans people that you want to see live. Because really, I just want them all to die. Yeah. Especially when I found out that Godzilla's roar itself could kill everybody. I was like, dude, just do that from now on. Godzilla roars and everybody dies. Anywho.
I think John C. Reilly is the standout character, though.
It's interesting, kind of like the contrast that they played up with him. This is a guy that's lived on the island and wants nothing but to get off this bitch. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Sam Jackson, who is about to get out of heck, out of the war, but war is his life. And he fucks everybody over just to keep meaning in his life. So he's not only at the same time likable, but horribly unlikable.
Not only that, but he's seeing his men die around him. So there's multiple levels to his drive.
Yeah, it's almost ironic. You know, he drove them to their deaths, really.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's what's keeping him going because that's his life. Now he has meaning. It's kind of like this vicious circle that he's existing in. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, we have a guy that was living in a vicious circle for years. And he's like, dude, get out of this fucking island.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Also, I got to say this is possibly my favorite version of the Islanders in Skull Island. Because either they're incredibly racist, like in the original Kong, in the first one, or they suck, like in the 70s one, or they're all right, like in the Peter Jackson one. I liked them, but I was like, man, come on, they could be a little bit more menacing here. These guys were
hang out.
wise, but creepy. And you know what? They were homeboys with Kong, so that's pretty cool. I liked them visually, and the whole works. It was an interesting and new approach to them, for dang sure.
Yeah.
Dig. So anyway, you got any any cons you want to throw out there, or any more pros? Give them to me.
Nah, I think whatever cons I had back in the day are
have been assuaged for the most part.
Yeah, some of them are still there, but that's not really the point of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's just cool, you know. Even if those were still legitimate complaints, it's just cool.
Yeah.
Stop being a freaking whiny turd of me from a couple years ago. I do want to buy this flick because it's pretty fun.
I remember you being like, dude, don't buy it. Wait till it's like $5. I was like, dude, trust me, it's good.
$5 would have been a great price.
Oh, yeah, if you could get $5, snap it up.
Yeah. Like a squid.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish you fought more squids and shit, but, but you get pretty good.
It would have in the Japanese version? The Japanese version.
You know what would have made this movie like a perfect 10 for me? If freaking Kong just dropped trowel. He doesn't have trowel, but
he dropped his fur.
Just drop fur and start flinging feces in the beginning.
Look, man, if they don't have Kong flinging feces in Kong vs. Godzilla, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah,
legit. Start that petition now.
I think that's the only way he can win the battle. Godzilla's gonna be like, dude, this stinks.
Come on, man. I thought we were playing fair here. Yeah. And then the distance, you hear Hango.
Dude, Godzilla's got freaking atomic breath. How the hell is he gonna?
Atomic ass.
Oh yeah,
that's their answer. Anyway, yeah, man. Let me give final thoughts and a score on this, and you can follow up on me. I enjoyed this movie quite a bit when it came out. This is a romp, guys. Okay, look, shit doesn't have to be Shakespeare. It's a fucking big ass monkey kicking ass, and ass he kicks. All right, roll with me here. And surprisingly, the characters are fun to be around and are interesting. Or even when they're you know, brutally underused, a la Goodman, they were fun while they were there.
No.
You know, so, and again, I stress the visual quality of this movie is top notch. I look forward to whatever this other guy has to offer next because I like his style. You know what I'm saying? If he never brings up anything else, well, at least he made a cool ass ape movie. The point is, this is a blast. This is a fun little flick as far as Kong movies go, and as far as kaiju movies go, it's really fucking fun, especially compared to Rodan, the original. Shit. You want to see a boring movie, see Rodan, the original. Man, it's boring. God, it's boring. Anyway. Dude, it's so boring, Rodan. Anyway.
Give it a score.
Kong Skull Island, I'm going to give it a solid 9. Look, realistically speaking, this is like an 8. But it's a fucking big ass monkey kicking ass.
It's an 8.
So I gotta give it a 9 because it's my boy and he's a monkey. You know what I'm saying? I can't hate a Kong movie. You gotta work really hard to make me hate a Kong movie. So the Japanese did that pretty well.
King Kong Fu?
That was not King Kong. That was King Kung Fu, and that movie sucked.
You wanted to rent it, dude.
I did rent it.
Why?
It sucked. His little eyes pop out at one point and lived. Anyway. Go ahead. Give final thoughts on the score on this.
I agree with what you said. Again, he should have flinged some fees.
It's really important.
It really is. You know, all the complaints I had back in the day are freaking kind of ludicrous. And if you're gonna expect like freaking King's Speech, I don't know why I keep bringing King's Speech.
The King's Speech is apparently the fucking epitome of quality to you.
You're gonna expect this King's Speech in a Kong, you're a fool. I was gonna have something else to say and I completely forgot, so that's good. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty fun. I enjoy it. I'll give it like I'll give it an 8.5. An 8.5.
8.5.
I do want to rewatch it again because it was fun, man. I had fun with it. And my boy, Fake Lieutenant Dan, is pretty rad.
Fake Lieutenant Dan's always good.
Except for when he was in Death Note, the movie.
Oh, man, that was a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, tell us what you think about Kong Skull Island. Guys, don't take it too seriously, all right? It's a big-ass monkey movie.
Yeah.
Rocks. Only thing missing is feast and Brie Larson naked with her fungal toe. You know what? This is probably where she got her fungal toe.
Shit, she got the fungal tome.
Walking around in all that swamp juice.
Yeah.
Not refusing to take her feet off. That's right, her feet.
You take a foot off.
Anyway, let us know about Brie Larson's gross feet. And in the meantime, hit like, share, subscribe, and those notification buttons because we're out.
Fung.